Hello everybody, Joe Bag of Donuts here. Welcome back for another episode of Umineko. I'm tired as shit today. I don't know why. I feel like I've been saying that for the past 2 weeks every time I start a video, but it's the truth. I went in this morning to go do some annual training at work that I was due for, and I didn't want to get in trouble for not doing it. So I left there at like 7:30 on my day off, which sucks having to go in on my days off, but hey, what can you do? And I decided, you know what? I'm gonna go buy some alcohol at fucking 7:30 a.m. So I did. Went into the convenience store on base, walked out with a nice little 6-pack of Samuel Adams cherry wheat. I had one bottle earlier this morning. It's pretty good. You know, you don't really see cherry flavored beer. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And you know, I prefer like a little bit of darker beer, but you know, for 5% like kind of light beer, if you're a woman or something, it's pretty good. Like cherry beer, it's no Shirley Temple, but it fucking gets the job done. Anyway, what happened last time in the story? I don't know. We just got Maria backstory about her being alone and whatnot. Oh, I almost forgot. Sakutaro became a real live human being. That was strange. Didn't expect that to happen. But weirder things have happened in this game. So moving on, we'll just put that in the back corner of our mind and try not to think about it too hard. Also, Virgilia was there with Beatrice and Maria, so they were both kicking around on the island. Strange. Possibly, maybe, I don't know. At least from Maria Anjay's perspective. It seems we're getting a lot of that this chapter. We've had like an hour on Rokinjima, and the rest of it has been all Anjay fucking talking to the Maria in her head and whatnot. And let's continue that to see who this guy is and what he will never forget.
1987年
Oh
4
yeah,
月の
we're in
こ
the
とで
future
す。
now.
私は友人からある奇妙な依頼を受けました。とある大富豪の遺品である蔵書が大量に競売にかけられていて、
Okay. Fucking Kinzo estate sale?
その一部に民族学的にも考古学的にも、あるいはオカルト的な意味でも極めて価値の高いものが含まれていると思われる、その価値を内密に見てほしいというのです。
Okay.
87年、六軒島での事件の半年後。
さようです。それらの蔵書は
This is the
六
most
軒
like
島での難を逃れ
not
たものと
character
説明さ
character
れ
I've
てい
ever
ま
seen
し
in my
た。
entire life. You can tell he has no relevance to anything because he's just some guy.
それを島の所有者である後宮エバ氏が競売に出したというのです。
They appeared to be at a high-class restaurant, yeah, with a lot of Tabasco bottles on the table. Anjay and a middle-aged man were sitting across from one another in a pair of secluded and quiet seats. Amakusa could be seen in the restaurant's entrance. He was probably keeping a lookout for pursuers from the Samadera family. Suma. There was Su, not Sa. The scholarly-seeming man across from Anjay spoke politely, but with enthusiasm. He hasn't so much as touched the food in front of him, which communicated effectively the passion with which he was speaking. He was a professor at a certain university, known in particular as an authority on Western folklore. However, amongst his life works, that was only one of the most acceptable public faces. What? That was the one with the most acceptable public face. Okay. His true life work was the study of Western occultism, Western magic, alchemy, and all else falling under the umbrella of the occult, as well as demonology. In short, he was one of the people best positioned to understand the detail of Kinzo's research. Alright, who got updated? I stand corrected. My man's actually here. I thought he was just going to be a mook, but, you know, instead of just being like a faceless voice, they went through the trouble of getting a sprite. But no, here he is. Professor Otsuki, the professor of a certain college, you know, don't specify it so that way you don't have to worry about it. Well known as an authority on the study of Western folklore. Also famous as a hobbyist researcher of Rokinjima witch legend and as one of the witch hunters. Okay, my man's gonna get a fucking 3 a.m. History Channel show in a couple years. The witch hunt is primarily focused on the straining of occult superstitions to explain the truth of the Rokujima crime, rather than doing it scientifically. And it's diligentes? Sure. And enthusiasts of the mystical primarily view it as a type of mental game. Okay. Sure, man. Sure. His name means Big Moon.
まず蔵書を鑑定して分かったことは、後宮江橋には民族学的な教養は全くなく、
Okay.
そしてその蔵書の本来の持ち主である後宮金蔵氏は、日本で五子に入る悪魔学の権威であったことは間違いないということです。
April 1987. A major city antique shop came into possession of a large quantity of ancient text thought to have high historical value. The texts had been entrusted to them by Ushiromiya Eva, who had requested for them to be put up for auction on her behalf. At the time, everyone thought that Eva had succeeded the Ushiromiya family and obtained all the wealth for herself as the only survivor. However, at that point, barely half a year had passed since the incident, which was not enough for the rest of the family to be legally declared dead in absentia, even given the extraordinary circumstances. Because of that, Eva was thought to have been in a very tight spot financially, unable even to collect from her family's life insurance. It seemed that she tried to sell everything of value, and even the books kept in, Kuwadorian. Yeah, that's, oh god, was that? That's the hidden mansion. The location where she escaped harm became a target of this. And when the authorities in the field gathered at the request of the antique shop to appraise these documents, which were later called the Ushiromiya Library, they were given the shock of their lives.
少なくとも神秘学の見地から言えば、その発見が世界に与えた衝撃は、司会文書発見にも匹敵するものでした。
Oh, so fairly important.
後宮蔵書には、なんと1000年以上にもわたる間、その存在だけが知られているにもかかわらず、発見されていなかった数々の極めて重要な文献さえ含まれていたからです。
The so-called romantic side of the occult, epitomized, for example, by alchemy, never ceases to stir in intense fanaticism and diligentes. I'm not going to pronounce that word right ever, because I don't know how. Even now, it is whispered that in various places around the world, a great number of magic books of historic value might be in the secret possession of very wealthy lovers of the occult, unannounced to the public. The prime candidates for this are said to be items such as Leonardo da Vinci's notebooks, which are particularly popular among... They're just going to keep throwing this word at me. Diligentes. It is said that approximately 5,000 pages of this notebook currently exist, and over 10,000 have been lost. But some researchers believe that a large part of this lost portion may be being monopolized by certain diligentes and millionaires. Alright, Google, tell us how to actually pronounce this word so I can stop making a fucking ass of myself. I mean, that's never going to stop completely, but, you know, just lessen it in this one little case.
Dilettante.
Dilettantes? Alright. I was trying to spice it up too much, but, nope, just dilettantes. Oh god, I dropped my phone too hard. It's vibrating the springs on my boom for my mic. Certain dilettantes and millionaires. It is said that because of this, even now, dilettantes who can't help but seek these spare no expense to search around for quietly hoarded away in unannounced notebooks. There's probably no doubting that Ushiromiya Kinzo was himself one of those dilettantes. It is unknown what Kinzo went through to obtain these, but undoubtedly he must have spent his vast wealth like water to buy them off other rich people with the same hobby as him. The discovery of that huge number of books at the end of the 20th century, books so valuable that dilettantes, I'm gonna keep trying to spice it up on, like, muscle memory now, were filled with the desire to hoard them away, and their subsequent release to the public gave the entire world a massive shock.
この一件により、六軒島の名は全世界に知れ渡ることになります。 そして同時に六軒島の事故によって未発見のさらに価値ある蔵書が大量に失われた可能性が高いことも全世界に衝撃を与えました。これにより六軒島と後宮蔵書の名は我々にとって生涯忘れないものとなったのです。
Our memories. That R probably meant the occult neck of the woods with the same hobby as Kinzo. This incident caused the name of Rokenjima to develop an important meaning within the world of the occult. Certainly, there had been a lot of reporting about the accident on Rokenjima, but it hadn't been on an international level. However, this incident circled the globe, taking the image of Rokenjima as a small island in the Izu archipelago and painting it over as a demonic island with a mixture of riddles, suspicion, mystery, and the occult. In other words, until Kinzo's library was leaked into the public by Ava, Rokenjima had been nothing more than a nameless island that no one thought twice about. And it definitely hadn't been a witch's island. However, when the knowledge of the Ushiromiya library spread across the world, Rokenjima's image immediately took on an occult twist.
そして、そこへ起こるのが例のメッセージボトル事件です。これがあの島を魔女の島に変えた。伊豆諸島の無名の小島がオカルトの島へ、そして謎の魔女ベアトリーチェの島へと変遷していったのです。後宮蔵書とメッセージボトル、このどちらが欠けても六軒島魔女伝説は成り立たなかったと言えます。
メッセージボトル。
はい。空の瓶に手紙を封印し海に投じるという不特定対象への通信方法です。無人島から SOS を発信するというのが有名ですが、海外の有名推理小説の影響で、自らの死後に真実を告白するという時間差的な遺書としても知られるようになりました。六軒島メッセージボトル事件は、まさにこの後者だったのです。
Though, was it written by a victim or the perpetrator?
近くの島の漁師が拾っていたというやつですね。
さようです。式根島の若い漁師が手紙入りのワインボトルを拾っていたことが分かったのです。この若い漁師は興味本位からそれをたまたま保管していました。それが後宮蔵書で六軒島が世界的注目を浴びたため、公表したというのです。
その漁師による捏造の可能性は？
もちろんその可能性も否定できませんでした。ワインボトル内のノート片には後宮家のとある人物の署名がされていました。後宮マリアという少女です。しかし彼女の遺品の肉筆から別人の筆跡であることが確認されました。
So the person who wrote it was different, but the signature is Maria's.
別人の筆跡？
Or
さよう
entire
です。
thing of different persons.
少なくとも少女より達筆で年齢のある人物によって書かれたことは疑いようがないでしょう。彼女の名を語った何者かが執筆した可能性が極めて高か
Just
った
someone
の
else
です。
entirely.
よってこの時点ではノート片の内容の信憑性は薄いと考えられました。
However, later on, a sensation was created when it came to light on the day of the accident. A similar message bottle had been recovered from the surrounding ocean by the police in the search for evidence.
警察は現場の状況とボトルの封印状況から捏造の可能性は低く、事故直前の数日以内に投棄したものと判断したようです。また双方の筆跡は一致しました。これにより漁師の発見したノート片の信憑性が増すこととなりました。メッセージボトルの内容については週刊誌などが繰り返し報道しているようですが、説明がいりますかな？
Might as well for us who have only played like episode 1 once, and that was like a month and a half ago, months ago probably at this point. God, when did I even fucking start this series?
いいえ。一応知っ
Definitely
ていま
months
す
if
の
I'm
で。
on part 51 and I record every day, like with like some gaps in the middle. So like probably 2 months ago is a fair ballpark of like when I last read that. Several sheets of notebook paper had been stuffed into each of the 2 wine bottles. They were extensive accounts, written in a diary-like fashion by some unknown person calling themselves Ushiromiya Maria, and the events of that day, of the events of that day, of the accident, and the day before. That's a lot of ofs there. My brain just didn't want to accept that the first of the events was of. But it is of. Moving on. It's starting to sound like it's not a real word. And it was these that prompted the beginning of the Witch Legend serial murder case. Real fucking snappy name, guys. A+ job. And the mystery of the Golden Witch Beatrice.
この奇妙な日記風式には、台風で島に釘付けにされた後宮家の親族たちが、魔女復活の儀式に巻き込まれ、次々に不可解な方法で殺されていく様子が記されていました。
Battler did it. It was him. You would never expect the narrator of the story to also be the murderer who's also the detective. Boom, gotcha. Solved the mystery.
そして最後に黄金の魔女
That's my pet theory now, the Battler done it theory.
全てを黄金鏡に飲み込む。まるでそれこそが当日の全容であるかのように記されていました。また当時の島の状況についても非常に詳しく描写されており、後宮家に勤務したことがある元の使用人たちは間違いなく内部に詳しい人間が書いたに違いないと証言しました。
Okay.
そのおかしな幻想小説と後宮蔵書以降のオカルトブーム、そして結局は真相は闇の中という3つが合わさり、六軒島の魔女伝説を生み出したと。
Makes sense.
さようです。すでに10年以上が経過した事件ですが、未だに世界のオカルトマニアの関心を集めています。いや、むしろ時間を得てますますに神格化されたと言っていい。上陸禁止になっている六軒島に密かに上陸しようというマニアも未だに多いとか、未だ未発見のメッセージボトルがあるのではないか。そしてあの日、あの島で本当は何があったのか、未だに議論はつきませんとも。
As though he had finally remembered that he had been going on and on for some time, the man took a sip of water. His pottage was now cold. Pottage? Okay. Some kind of dish, I guess. But it seemed that the man's hunger had already been blown away.
確か漁師のノート編と警察のノート編で内容が全く違うと聞きましたが。
さようです。
Well, like two different accounts of events?
このせいで六軒島ミステリーはさらに面白みが増したのです。2つのボトルの中身はどちらも事故前日から当日までを記した日記風の式です。しかしその内容は共に前日から当日を記した内容であり、にもかかわらず内容は全く異なったのです。まるでどちらかが真実でどちらかが虚偽のように、あるいは両方とも虚偽なのかもしれない。しかし始まりと終わりだけは一致するのです。始まりは親族たち18人は台風で島に閉じ込められた。
The middle is up for interpretation.
そして終わりは全員が死に黄金の魔女がよみがえり、すべては黄金鏡に飲み込まれる。
The contents of both message bottles described the events of the 2 days of the accident. But the details were completely different. Both diaries outline a serial murder following the epitaph of the witch, but the order of the sacrifices, the manner of their deaths, and even the tale of the 2 days are different. However, both depict the same ultimate conclusion. Everyone dies and the witch revives.
あの島で何があったのか。唯一の生存者である後宮エバ氏が沈黙していた以上、あの2日間の出来事は全てが闇の中です。この2つの日記はその闇を埋める仮説をこともあろうか2つも提示してみせたのです。どちらの日記でも2日間を説明できる。しかしどちらが正しいのか、あるいは 正しいことが含まれているのかさえわからないのです。
Well, they couldn't have been the stories the first episode and the second one, because in both of those, fucking Ava bites it in like the first Twilight. So, I guess the story of the third and the current ongoing fourth that we're seeing unfold now? Question mark? Schrodinger's cat box. If it isn't denied, even fiction can be truth. Through the media, these notebook pages had of course been shown to Ava as well, but in the end, she never broke her
誰
silence.
が何のためにメッセージボトルを？
事件10周年特集を組んだ雑誌が以前大々的に取り上げたでしょう。あの仮説が今日では最も支持を集めているようです。しかし面白みには欠ける。あの島であの日何が起こったのか、それを考えるのがウィッチハントの醍醐味なのですな。
ウィッチハント？
ああ、ロッキン島ウィッチハントとは、この事件の真相をオカルトの側面から説明しようと試みるマニアの集いのことです。
Okay.
後宮蔵書から謎の2日間、そして黄金の魔女の伝説など、ロッケン島に関わる謎は今でもマニアの間で盛んに議論されているのです。
So, essentially trying to prove that the witch does exist?
10周年の時にはニューヨークで国際コンベンションも開かれました。私も日本の代
I
表と
fucking
して
hate
参加
true
してき
crime
まして
people.
ね。
My god.
海外の熱心なウィッチハンターと様々な交流をしてきましたよ。海外では魔女はとても人気のあるカテゴリーでしてね。参加者の年齢幅も下は小学生から上は著名な文化人まで実に幅広い。
Undoubtedly gonna be a Netflix like original series about it in fucking another 20 years.
日本でも近年ようやく。
Probably don't need any more explanation, but he is one of the most famous Rokkenjima witch hunters in Japan. After that, he just kept continuing on excitedly, all by himself, even though I had never asked. As I swirled the thin film on my pottage with my spoon, I shrugged my shoulders and sighed. Maybe it really had been a waste of time to research about the message bottle. No, if there's one thing I'd gotten out of this, it was the knowledge that those pages, supposedly written by Maria One-chan, had actually been written by a different person faking her name. And that person had taken it upon themselves to write an occult story, put it into a bottle as though it was the truth, and throw it into the sea. This raised questions for me. Why did they go to all the trouble of writing so much in order to prepare a suspicious letter like that? With a message bottle, there would be no guarantee that it would ever pass into anyone's hands. If their luck had been bad, it could have sunk into the ocean and had never been seen by anyone. And even if someone were to pick it up, they might have just thrown it away without ever thinking twice about it. Why did they entrust their confession to the truth to the sea in such an uncertain method? And why did they write up multiple different tales? There had been one message bottle claiming that its story was the whole truth. I mean, that its story was the truth would be reckless, but not impossible. However, because there were two, that made both of them doubtful. Yeah, but it makes it even harder to disprove any of them, because now there's just too much information swirling around. If someone was plotting to make out those two mysterious days to be the work of a witch, that really was this word always kills me. Superfluous. And because there were two, it suggested that an undiscovered third one, possibly even more, might exist. In other words, the two having different contents was making it even harder to take either of them at face value. But despite their differences, the contents of the two matched in both tales told of the witch. Does that mean that this is what the writer wanted to tell us? I can only imagine that this was a crime committed for pleasure by someone who wanted to create an illusion of a witch. But 17 people, excluding Otava, lost their lives, and a vast inheritance, and maybe even 10 tons of gold, changed hands behind the scene. Just doesn't make sense for the confession coming at the end of all that to be this fantasy about a witch. You don't need to hear the magazine's reasoning to find it extremely doubtful whether the message bottles really are diaries. After all, the amount of writing was massive. It's hard to imagine that someone actually caught up in the middle of a serial murder a serial murder like that would have been able to calmly write it down. In that case, it's probably more realistic to say that these diaries were written slowly over a long period of time before the day prior to the accident. In which case, would that mean everything on Rokkenjima was premeditated and prepared for over a long stretch of time? I mean, it makes sense if you're doing these elaborate locked-room mysteries and whatnot. The fact that Aunt Ava left this world without saying anything is detestable. She definitely told me on her deathbed. She definitely said that her reason for not telling me the truth was because it was the best way of harassing me. But now I'm painfully aware of it. Of all the things Aunt Ava did to harass me, this was probably the last and the greatest. But now that I start to think of it this way, it's pretty doubtful that Aunt Ava is the true culprit. Of course, this isn't because the handwriting in the message bottle differs from Aunt Ava's or anything like that. It's because in both the discovered tales, Aunt Ava was included among the victims. Interesting. So it was possibly episode 1 and 2. If the writer of these diaries was the culprit, then maybe Aunt Ava had also been one of the targets to be killed. Aunt Ava had survived because something had gone wrong. Because of my hate for Aunt Ava, I had believed until now that she had to be the culprit. But the existence of the message bottles was making me suspect that the mastermind was a far more profound and unknown person than her. I looked at the clock. I asked everything I wanted to. Time to go. As he continued to speak fervently, I volunteered that I wanted to bring this discussion to a close. He seemed to be aware that he had gotten excited and talked too much, so he accepted this without resistance.
今日は本当にありがとうございました。貴重なお話が聞けたと思います。
いえいえ、ウィッチハントの新しい仲間に若いお嬢さんを迎えできて本当に楽しかったです。今日は歌詞を変えてしまったのでお見せできなかった貴重な資料がいくつもあります。次の機会の時にはぜひそれをお見せしましょう。
ありがとう先生。最後に聞いてもいいですか？
はい、何でしょうか。
先生はどうして魔女に、いえ、神秘学や悪魔学に興味が？
それを言われると恥ずかしい。不思議な力が使えたなら意地悪なガキ大将にも負けないのに。という子供の頃の妄想がそのままライフワークになってしまっただけです。
I remember when I was like 12 when I watched Full Metal Alchemist and then I went on the internet and I'm like, how to do magic? And fucking looked around at all the old fucking like GeoCity ass websites about black magic. And I'm like, oh yes, I see. Good times. We all had those periods in our lives, don't deny it.
未知なる力への憧れというプリミティブな願望は今も昔も普遍的ですからな。
先生はなれるものなら魔女になりたいですか？思うがままに魔法を使ってみたいという夢を今も。
もちろんですとも。
Yeah, you'd think it's neat, but, you know, at some point you become more of a realist about things.
この年になり、そういうものが実在しないと理屈では分かっていても、
It would still be cool.
それでもなお、空を飛んでみたい、鉄くずを黄金に変えてみたいという子供のような夢は忘れられずにいます。学生たちにはどうか内密に。
私が実は魔女だと言ったらお信じになります？
Probably not.
女は魔女であるというのが私のささやかな女性経験からの持論です。
Ajay snorted at the old professor, who was undoubtedly an earnest scholar, and unlikely had any experience with woman at all.
そうそう。最後にもう一つだけ質問を。
With that fucking haircut, yeah. Like, at that point, man, just... What are you doing? Go get like an actual, like fucking a nice cut done. You know, bring it in a bit. Like whatever that is, it's not fucking crack-a-lackin'.
先生はメッセージボトルの実物をご覧になったことは？
ありますとも。
では、その筆跡についてもお詳しいですか？
もちろん。その道の専門家ではありませんが、メッセージボトルの筆跡に関してだけは日本で最も詳しいと自負していますとも。
At that point, Andre set a book on the table with a thud.
これは初めて見るものです。
He prided himself on his thorough knowledge of all literature related to Rokujima, but he looked bewildered at the binding he had never laid eyes on before. Ignoring him, Andre silently flipped through the pages, opened to one of them, and showed him. On that page was a handwritten paragraph beginning with, "To my dear witch apprentice." Oh, does it match Beatrice's? And at the end, there was a signature in capital katakana that said, Beatrice.
それは。
The instant he glanced at it, his face went pale. She knew the answer before asking, but Anjay asked it aloud anyway.
このページに記されている文章の筆跡はメッセージボトルの筆跡と一致しますか？
いや、持ち帰って詳しく調べない方には。
But the fact that you're instantly like, oh shit, is, you know, that's enough.
失礼だが、この本は一体どこに？
The man stretched out his hand, but Anjay nimbly pulled it out of his reach, as though telling him not to touch it with his filthy hands.
ありがとう。その反応だけで結構です。今日はありがとうございました。これ、お約束の謝礼です。
As she stood up, clutching Maria's diary, Anjay casually tossed a wad of 10,000 yen notes wrapped in a band of paper onto the table. As she turned her back to him and went to leave, the man raised his voice as though clinging to her. But Anjay never stopped walking.
お願いだ。その本は一体。謝礼はいらない。その本を見せてくれ。
私とあなたはウィッチハントの同志だけど、求める深さが違うみたい。あなたが楽しんでるのは猫箱の外側。そして私が知りたいのは猫箱の内側。そしてこの一冊はその猫箱を開く鍵ね。あなたには過ぎてるわ。じゃあね。Goodbye, gentlemen. Have a nice day.
待ってくれ。
God, what a little chuny fuck just dropping English in there.
すまねえさん。
His voice didn't reach her. She had already joined up with Amakusa and had gone into the car. I was about to say, like, she must be, like, have not told him her actual name if he's just going on and on about the fucking Ushiromiya murders, you know, directly to in Ushiromiya.
収穫はありましたか？
最後の最後にね。やっぱりそうだった。メッセージボトルを記したのはベアトリーチェ本人だった。
Well, that clears some things up.
そいつはクールだ。魔女は実在するで決着で。
さあね。寝ていい？あのおしゃべり教授。きっと講義では自分の世界に入っちゃって。
You can sleep, just don't put your feet up on the dashboard. That's how people, like, get their legs ripped off.
どうぞどうぞ、お休みを。
しかし、うまくいくもんね。あいつ、私のこと、スマデラだと最後まで信じてたわ。
The Sumadera family had cast out a net before over any people Anjay might try to contact. They had offered a reward for anyone who could detain Ushiromiya Anjay if she appeared. Anjay had foreseen that and snatched it away. She had called herself Sumadera, and after skillfully tricking the man by... Oh god, I'm dying, give me a sec. Whoa. Ooh, beer. And after skillfully tricking the man by saying her own subordinates would set up an ambush, she had taken him with her. So, when the Sumadera pursuers reached the professor's house, there was no longer anyone there.
家人の話では午前中にスマデラを名乗る若い男女が訪れ教授を連れ出したきりまだ帰宅しないそうです。裏をかかれた可能性が。
いけない子ね、エンジェちゃんは。そういう悪知恵 姉さんの血なのかしらね。あんなに名乗るのは嫌だと言ってたスマデラの名を気安く名乗ってくれちゃうなんて。そのうち教授もお戻りになるだろうさ。
Gonna beat his ass.
そしたらソチャでも
Yep.
振る舞わないとね。
は了解しました。
私を手玉に取ったつもりかしら。やんちゃな子なんだから。
Well, she kind of is. With a demonic look on her face, Kazumi violently stamped her heel. You're gonna get shin splints doing that. I'll teach you about the magic of origins. No, I taught you before, right? And you used to be able to use it. Did you forget? You were also a witch apprentice, Anjay, with your name entered into the magic sorcière, weren't you? How do I pronounce that one? If we're gonna be throwing around fancy accented letters like that, which I'm not used to in my clumsy English language. Sorci... What direction is that accent facing? That's... Etsy? I don't care about Etsy. Pronunciation, how about that? Pronunciation. Did I spell it wrong? I spelled it wrong. I forgot to put the R in there. How to pronounce in French?
Sorcière.
Sorcière. Saucière. Now that I'm thinking in French, I'm looking at the word that is marriage, right? I'm thinking too hard. Or is it like mariage? Saucière. And I misspelled that. No? Marriage has 2 R's. And how do I pronounce it with 1 R? Derives from Middle English, in this turn, the Old French, marier, to marry, and Latin, mariate. Okay, yeah, it's just more French. Just in English, the R is longer, I guess, because English stuff. Marriage saucière, weren't you?
私も
Gonna pronounce it like that, just like I pronounced raisin d'etre. I closed Maria Onechan's diary and flopped down onto a very high-class looking bed. Since I had fallen into a pretty deep sleep in the car, it was taking longer than usual for drowsiness to set in, and I had been spending a long time reading the diary as I waited for that. Well, maybe turn off both those lamps and you might go to sleep easier. This was a super expensive hotel in the city. Expensive hotels that were often used by the rich and famous have an abnormally strong duty of confidentiality out of concern for their various circumstances. This made it a very convenient place for Anjay, on the run from her pursuers. The idea that runaways spend their nights hiding in cheap hotels is a commoner's way of thinking. For Anjay, who possessed all the wealth of the Ushiromiya family, the life of a runaway was truly comfortable. Of course, as a man, Amakusa was in a separate room despite being her guard. Anjay was using the bedroom of the suite, while Amakusa was lying down on the living room sofa. Amakusa said something about how the sofa here was more comfortable than his own bed recently. Poor guy. When I looked at the clock, I saw that it was almost 2 a.m. Still not getting sleepy. I sighed deeply. Even though there was no wind, I suddenly got the feeling that Maria Onechan's diary had fluttered open. Then, Onechan appeared. Yeah, the witch Maria. Is the witch aside? Yeah, okay. The Witch of Origins, who will live for the next 1,000 years, possesses the motherly magic power to give birth to one from the Sea of Zero. At a glance, her magic power is weak. However, Zero will never become anything but Zero, no matter how much it is multiplied. but the one she gave birth to will eventually surpass the heavens. Protected heavily by Beatrice, who understands her true value, she is in an alliance with Beatrice. Her form was no longer the normal one that I knew. She was wearing the dress that Beatrice had given her after acknowledging her status as a witch,
もう寝ないと明日が辛いよ。
and cast a spell for us, put us to bed.
私も魔女なら魔法が使えるのよね。
うん、使えるよ。教えてあげたでしょ。使い方。昔は使えたはずだよ。
覚えてる。使いたくなった。
寂しくなった？
別に毎日枕が違うくらいのことで辛くなんてならないわ。
魔法の最初の一歩は寂しいからとか退屈だからとか、そのくらいのささやかな理由でいいの。
眠くなるまでの暇つぶしだとしても。
Sure.
うん。エンジェがもう一度魔法のことを思い出してくれて、マリ。
You're taking too long there, Maria. It's not my fault for ever getting too jumpy with the inner key. It's always someone else's. It's been quite a long time since I last used magic. At one point, with Maria Onechan's instruction, I touched a corner of it and opened the door a tiny bit. So, I should still remember that sensation.
今のエンジェ
It's
は
like riding a bike.
かなり魔法の力が衰えてる。基本に忠実じゃないと難しいよ。
うん。
You gotten too normal.
四方を確認。静かな空間を確保。
天草さんは？
寝てるわ。
After opening the door to the living room a crack, I could see the blanket caterpillar on the sofa roll over in his sleep.
今のエンジェの弱い魔力では半魔法力の影響を受けすぎる。人の姿だけじゃない。声も音も気配さえもエンジェの魔法の邪魔をする。それらを完璧に立って古代魔術師たちがアトリエを閉ざして孤独を守ったように。
覚えてるわ。人間の存在自体が魔法を妨げる。故に人に魔法を見せるということそのものがとても高位な魔女の証だったわね。
It means you fully drank the Kool-Aid. Obtain a quiet space for yourself alone. That should cover it for the preparation of a space to use magic.
次によりしろ。今のエンジェには自転車の補助輪、いえチェーンくらい大事。
これは当然無理よね。
Anjay rubbed her own head. She was wearing hair accessories with pink beads attached. It felt a little childish for Anjay's style, but she had never taken them off for a single day.
うん。今のエンジェにはとても無理。あの日から一日も休むことなく修行していたなら、あるいは今頃は呼び出すことができたかもしれないね。
今から修行したらどのくらいかかるの？
魔女の修行は幼き日の1年が老いの10年と同じ価値があると言われてる。
Yeah, it would take you a hot sec.
相当の覚悟がいるよ。
それこそ
Just
後ろ宮
embrace your
金蔵
chuny
くらい
heart.
に。ピアノもバイオリンも魔法も幼い頃からの英才教育が大事なのね。
今のエンジェは
Yeah, when your
初め
mind
て
is
魔法
soft
を
and
使えた
impressionable.
時よりもその力が落ちている。無理をしないで基本に忠実に。
After regretfully rubbing the things on my head one more time, I let it go. Then I started fishing through my knapsack, looking for anything that might make a good vessel.
これならよりしろにはぴったりじゃない？
懐かしい。うん。それならば今のエンジェでも召喚できると思うよ。それには今主がいない。エンジェが新しい主になるのも可能なはず。
Among the things that looked like good vessels, I took the one I thought might possess the strongest magical power and set it on the side table near the bed with a clunk. It was a shady-looking stake-shaped weapon embellished with an occult design. A stake of the 7 stakes of purgatory used by witches to offer sacrifices. I was about to say, where'd you get that? In the course of their search for evidence, the police had collected a large amount of junk. After the investigation was finished, this had been faithfully returned to the Ushiromiya family. Found something there that I had seen in illustrations in Maria's diary, and took it home with me.
煉獄の七杭はもともと7本で一揃いだった。気の毒にね。今はもう彼女1本だけ。
Well, which one we get? When A-chan smiled, looking lonely. I pulled another book out of the knapsack. This was another old-fashioned, blatantly occult-related book, with a completely same design as Maria's diary. Don't think about it, use your imagination. But this, too, was a book to be written in. It was one of Maria One-chan's elaborate notebooks. This one was not a diary. It was a grimoire, which she had written as a witch. The 7 Stakes of Purgatory were Beatrice's furniture, created by her and employed only for her sake. But since Beatrice was a witch of the Mirage Sorcière, they could also be employed by Maria, who was a witch of the same alliance. For that reason, the method of summoning the 7 Stakes of Purgatory and how to handle them was written about in great detail in Maria One-chan's grimoire. And, as another person with her name in the same alliance, I was also permitted to employ them.
この杭
Yeah,
は
we're friends of a
七
friend
姉
of a
妹の
friend.
誰？
マリアの魔導書に彼女らの特徴がよく記されてるよ。七杭の姉妹は名前を間違えられることをとても嫌う。召喚する前によく彼女らの名前を思い出して。
A colossal number of pages telling of the 7 Stakes of Purgatory. They describe the 7 sisters in great detail. Yes, quite a long time ago, I think I learned these pages almost by heart. The more I read it, the more I start to remember. By the illustrations and identifying characteristics written in the grimoire, I could tell that the stake in my hand was the stake of Mammon. Which one's Mammon? Is that the one that cries all the time? I think that one's Leviathan, though. Which side? Oh, we're not gonna get it because we're not. We're in the future now, so yeah, fuck. In the past, I'd been summoning them without any vessel because I never had any stakes. So this was the first time I'd gotten a good look at any of the 7 stakes, not just Mammon.
マモン、五女、7つの大罪の強欲を司る。すごい子よね。
強欲は向上心、上昇志向、生きる強さなども司る。決して悪い意味だけではないんだよ。口は悪いけど、とても頑張り屋さんな子だし。
そうね。欲がないってことは、つまり、生きてる理由がないってことだし。
It's good to have drive and ambition, just keep it in check. For a while, I heightened my concentration and digested the information that was written about Mammon. The more the summoner knows about the target that's being summoned, the better. Knowledge brings about magical power. I began to fill my head with knowledge about Mammon, and build the necessary amount of magical power for the summoning.
魔導書って、ちょっとだけ面白いわね。下手くそな小説を読むより、よっぽど面白いかもしれない。なんだか懐かしい気持ちになるわ。
魔導書は、ただ文字を読み取るだけじゃなく、行間から世界を膨らませたり、挿絵から世界を生み出したりと、様々な想像を要求されるの。生み出す力、これを持つエンジェになら、どんな本よりも魔導書は面白いはずだよ。エンジェになら理解できるって、マリアはずっと知ってたもの。
So take the base and start writing fanfic. Got it.
マモンの知識、これで十分だと思うわ。うん。だいたい蘇った。やってみる。
しっかりね。いざという時に備えて、私の護符を。今の君は、同盟の条約に守られてない。マモンは少し喧嘩っ早いところがある子。
Yeah, I think most of them
あるい
can be.
は、まだ恨んでるかも。注意して。
うん。身につけることにする。
The 7 stakes of purgatory, as furniture for sacrificial rituals, are treated as beings inferior even to weapons. But that is only when it comes to demons. To humans, even furniture is something to be feared. Yeah, you ever fucking stub your toe in the middle of the night? Awful. I fished through the knapsack again. Took out a bracelet chain with a scorpion medal that I had gotten from Ryo-ne-chan long ago and put it on my arm. I had no need for something like this in the past, but I need insurance.
大丈夫。それにはまだ十分な魔法防御が備わってる。それを身につけている限り絶対に大丈夫。
It's like when you find your Nintendo DS in the closet after fucking 15 years and still has some charge in the battery. Ryo-ne-chan's magical power, in particular the power she can put into charms, was enough to earn even Beatrice's admiration. While it would only have looked like something cheap to a human who couldn't understand magic, its magical worth was incalculable.
Sa, おいでなさい。罪を許しなさい。煉獄の七杭が一つ。強欲のマモン。
I concentrated my mind as I squinted my eyes trying to read the text because I'm fucking blinded by this light. I made the anti-magic toxin that filled my body. Words. I made the anti-magic toxin that filled my body zero. Imagine an? You mean a? An is usually only used on the next, word following that starts with a vowel. Imagine a vast, untainted space. Doubts and common sense all resist magic. Make the resistance zero, and erase the burden between magical power. Inside my head was an image of vast space. It was a nighttime world where I floated in the air with the neon stars on the ground sparkling. A world where the stars that should have been covering the heavens were drowned out by light from below, and the stars covered the ground instead. In the world of a vast night sky with no obstructions, I imagined the wind blowing through freely. Just then, in that room where no wind could blow, the free nighttime wind whirled around. That long-forgotten sensation raced through my entire body. A unique feeling of exaltation felt when using magic. From Mammon's stake held out in my hand, I gradually began to feel a pale light. A cyclone had gyred around the stake. Is that like gyrated? The hefty stake floated a bit into the air.
見事だよ。ブランクは君から才能を奪わなかったね。
さあ、おいでなさい。罪を許しなさい。煉獄の七杭が一つ。強欲のマモン。その姿を私に見せなさい。
I slowly raised my hand as I brought it higher than my head. Almost as though it was being sucked upwards by it, the stake of Mammon likewise floated high up into the air and gradually began to shake. Its shaking grew faster and faster, and then it burst. With a speed faster than the eye could follow, it flew around, violently rebounding off the walls of the room. The terrible sound of it jumping from place to place poured down upon me, trying to make me flinch. But I mustn't lose my mental concentration. Then, the stake, which had been flying around at an incredible speed, finally restrained itself and faced me. It was in the air, just a few centimeters away from my forehead, held back by the defensive barrier created by the scorpion charm. I was trying to break the defensive barrier, eating into it with an incredible power, but Ryo-ne-chan's barrier wouldn't be broken so easily.
食い破れない。
The stake muttered hatefully. You could probably say that had been saved thanks to the scorpion charm. Without that, my way of killing time until I got sleepy would become a way to kill time for all eternity. When Mammon's stake realized that it was unable to gouge me, it gave up gracefully and changed its form from that of a stake into that of a person. Hello. Long time no see. Oh, here are the stakes. Now they're back. Oh, now they're all under Anjay. Do they have different titles? No. Nope, still all the same. Mammon. Advanced level furniture created by Beatrice. Mammon is a piece of furniture who was the first to become Anjay's friend. Huh. She remained alongside her throughout her years of training, supporting her master constantly and greedily so that she could become a full-fledged witch. A special person even among the 7 sisters. Do they have different ones? I store them in a food cellar. No, looks like... Nope. It looks like only Mammon has a new descriptor. I think. Yep. In her usual shameless outfit, which I would never be seen walking outside in. Although you could say it suited her, in a demonic sort of way.
園児様なの？随分とみすぼらしい魔力だけど、本当に園児様？
It's been a rough couple years.
お久しぶりね、マモン。元気にしてた？
Not particularly.
てっきり、もう約5面の家具は何度で朽ち果てるだけだと思ってました。それで、これはどういう余興で？まさか、私の所有者が園児様とでもおっしゃるつもりで？
That's kind of how it goes.
園児が君の主人だよ。
マリア教、これはお見苦しいところ。先ほどの結界はマリア教の。
今の園児じゃひょっとしたら君にやられてしまうかもしれないって思ったからお符を貸したの。
マリア教に私の主人が園児様だと言われたんじゃ断りようもありません。園児様、何なりとご命令を。私が必要とされるということは新しい儀式を、
No.
新しい生贄を、もっとも私を使いこなし自らの手を汚す程度の覚悟が終わりならの話ですが。
その役割は
I mean, if you're lucky,
私
you
はもう
might
求めてない
get
わ。
to stab some fucking Sumadara thugs.
昔
But
同様にただ話し相手になってくれるだけで十分よ。
ええ、それがお望みでしたら、家具は使われてこそ家具。お呼び出しいただいただけで光栄ですとも、園児様。
Mammon had a slightly complicated smile on her face. She had accepted Anjay as their new master because Maria had told her to, but it looked like she hadn't gotten over her discontent for working for Anjay with her frail magic power. Perhaps she had some other reason for hating Anjay, but for now, it seemed that she couldn't disobey Anjay despite her discontent.
それで、私は何をすれば？
わからない。適当に賑やかにしてくれればいいわ。昔みたいに。
お言葉ですが、多分、園児様がおっしゃる賑やかさとは、私たち姉妹の騒ぎのことだと思います。
Yeah, it's hard to do a solo act.
私一人では難しいかと。お忘れで？
Just pantomime, you know.
そうだね。7姉妹はみんなが揃うと本当に賑やかだったもんね。でも今の園児の魔力じゃマモンを呼び出すのが精一杯だと思う。他の6人の悔いも紛失してる。
恐れながらマリア教。
What are they fucking tossed off in an evidence locker somewhere, or just like lost, as in Mammon was the only one recovered?
私の悔いを経由し、7姉妹に語りかけ、呼び出すことは不可能ではないかと。私を刺激されるのでしたら、その程度の力は園児様にはお持ちいただきたいところですが。
Mammon giggled. Apparently, she wanted me to summon the other sisters without a vessel. I see. Unable to be satisfied with being summoned alone, she asked for the other sisters to be summoned as well. I get it. Greed. Yes, she was like this back then, wasn't she? Bliss for furniture is when it's used. Being used, no matter how roughly, is furniture's joy. Oh my. You're gonna make me blush. Not only that, but no matter of how much care you might treat them with, if they're not given a job, that would give them the greatest anguish. Oh, so it's like the furniture at your grandma's house that she has like the plastic wrapping on that you're not allowed to sit on, that the good couch that you're not even allowed to use as a couch. It's just torture for the furniture, I guess. Mammon spoke as though to provoke me, but what she wanted was for me to summon the other sisters somehow and rescue them from the world of nothingness. Why not just be honest and ask me to then? Demons really are difficult.
エンジ、無理しないで。
They're all fucking like edgy tsunderes.
マモンを呼び出せただけでリハビリには十分だよ。
Just read Paradise Lost and you'll understand.
あら、一人だけでリハビリになっちゃうの？どうせ暇つぶしよ。
I got the ball rolling.
いいわ、マモン。乗りかかった船だわ。呼べるところまで呼んであげる。
本当に？さすがエンジ様。さあさあ、早く早く。
Even though she had said it, it seemed that Mammon hadn't really expected to be able to ask this of Anjay. She hopped around, badgering Anjay to summon the other sisters. The consumption of physical and magical power used to call Mammon alone was considerable. Probably be pretty tough to do it 6 more times. I'm in awe of the magical power of those who reach the level of being called witches, because those people can summon these sisters with no more than a snap of their fingers.
マモン、エンジに無理をさせないで。エンジはまだ本調子じゃないから。
Well, it'll tire her out and make it easier for her to go to
エ
sleep.
ンジ様はみんなを召喚してくれるって言いました？
Actually, I only said I'd call as many as I could. I guess this is greed.
無理しないで、エンジ。もう今日は休んだ方がいい。君は十分疲れてるよ。
いいわよ。どうせ暇つぶし。ばったり寝込めるくらいに疲れさせてもらうわ。
This time, there's no vessel. I'll have to strengthen the image solely from my knowledge in the grimoire and manifest them with just that. I held my hands out into the air, replaying in my head the sensation from when I had summoned Mammon. Come on, I know all the 7 sisters personally. Remember in the past, the times I talked with them. Once again, the power of magic began to fill me up. It radiated as a faint and yet distinct pale blue light from both my hands.
エンジ様、しっかりしっかり頑張って。ねえマリア卿、エンジ様は必ずみんなを呼び出してくださいますよね。
Yeah, you gotta believe!
また7姉妹は再会できますよね。
The band's getting back together.
でも、
And this
それ
time,
が今夜
you'll
と
get
い
up
う
to
保証は
no
ない
mischief,
よ。
right?
エンジ様ならできますって。エンジ様、お願い。末っ子のアスモから。
アスモデウス。
Yeah, it might be a little tricky to summon Satan right from the fucking get-go, huh? Or Lucifer?
7女。わかった。末っ子から順番に呼ぶわ。
A strand of hot sweat dripped down from my forehead. This really does put a hell of a strain on you. The pale light in this space began to form into the vague outline of a girl.
おいでなさい。煉獄の七杭が一つ。色欲のアスモデウス。
There was no vessel. However, with a strong core of conviction that she definitely did exist there, I began to crystallize her form. Her outline became distinct, and the form of the youngest of the 7 sisters, Asmodeus, was finally created. I really need to turn off the lights in my room, so that way I don't get fucking blinded every time that happens.
ここはどこ？私は生きてるの？アスモ！よかった。マモン姉さん、ここは一体。私を呼び出したのは誰なの？
エンジ様が私たちをみんな蘇らせてくれるって。
Don't get ahead of yourself. No, I didn't.
エンジ様、ありがとう。次はベルゼをお願いします。
ベルゼブブ6女。暴食のベルゼブブ。さあさあ、おいでなさい。
If I just keep on like this, I wonder how many I can summon. If I lose my concentration, that'll probably be it. Croissant? The pale light made an outline and it formed into Beelzebub.
暴食のベルゼブブ。 ここに。ベルゼー、園児様、すごいすごい。
Mammon and Asmodeus jumped on Beelzebub, celebrating their reunion. Summoning 3 people at once, my head was throbbing. Without resting, I summoned the next one.
さあさあ、おいでなさい。煉獄の七杭が一つ。怠惰のペルフェゴール。
怠惰のベルフェゴール、ここに。なんと私がまだ
Yep,
必
at a
要とさ
retirement.
れるとは。
ベルフェネー、お腹すいた。じゃなくて、
Yeah, we can order room service
また7姉妹みんなが再会できるなんて。
for 7 people.
園児様、本当にありがとうございます。
この調子で次はサタンネーオ、ベビアネーモ、ルシネーモ。
ええ、分かってるわ。だからお願い、あまりうるさくしないで。
Yeah, you'll bother the neighbors.
きつい。
園児、もうそれ以上無理を
Ah,
し
no, we
ない
got
で。
this, we got this.
これだけ久しぶりなのによく4人も召喚できたよ。
よせマモン、今の園児様には我らの召喚は負担を強いている。園児様、どうかご無理をなされませんよ。
That's just because you're lazy.
私は嫌。園児様は約束したもん。また私たちみんなと遊んでくれるって。
No, I did.
園児様、みんなとまた会えるって。すぐに会えるって約束した。
Yeah, and as soon as in the morning, after, get a little bit of shut eye.
そうね、約束したわ。すぐにがいつのこととは約束
We've
し
been waiting
な
for
かっ
like
たけど、
12 years. What's one more night?
確かに私は約束したわ。
だから守って。じゃないと私は今日までそれを忘れていた園児様を許さない。
さあさあ、おいでなさい。煉獄の七杭が一つ。憤怒のサタン。
My mind was starting to get hazy. But I'll call. I may have forgotten those days. I may not have thought of them as anything but sadness and loneliness. But certainly, the short time I spent with these girls was, without a doubt, fun.
憤怒のサタン、ここに。
何やってるのよあんたたち。私たちが井戸端会議をするだけでどれだけ園児様に負担をかけてるか分かってんの？
No, she wants to do it, it's fine. Satan, who had apparently figured out the situation immediately after being summoned, yelled out in a loud voice, telling her sisters off. That loud voice made my consciousness fade again.
私たちはベアトリーチェ様より休むことを許された役目を終えた家具なのよ。再びお役に立てる機会を賜るどころか新しい主人の負担になるなんて、そんなの家具の直れ。早く姿を消しなさい。
サタンネーの言う通りだ。姿を
Yep,
消
go
す。
back to bed.
お前たちも姿を消せ。それがこの瞬間一番園児様のお役に立てる。
私は嫌よ。みんなを呼び出してもらえるまでは嫌。
私も嫌。お腹すいた。じゃなくて、やっと再会したばかりなのにもう帰るなんて嫌。
わがまま言ってんじゃないわよ。ほら
They're fucking demons, of course they're gonna be selfish.
ほらアスもさっさと消えなさい。
サタン姉さんがいじめた。いつも末っ子からなんてずるい。
You were actually the last there, but okay.
実に賑やかね。退屈しない。
もう十分だよ。今の園児には
Almost
限
there,
界
we're
を
almost
超
there.
えてる。
Just 2 more.
そうね。
The situation where I had summoned 5 of them, and they were messing around as they pleased, was placing far too heavy a load on me currently with my meager magical power. This is it. Good night. As my consciousness grew distant, I collapsed onto the bed. I don't even know what I said there, but it definitely wasn't consciousness. Have beds always felt this soft? It seemed that the sisters were still squabbling together as much as they liked. For a way to kill time until drowsiness comes to get me, this will do. Feeling something warm and nostalgic in the sister's liveliness, I sank into a world of deep sleep. At the entrance to my dream world, I felt Morionei-chan and Sakataro waiting to receive me.
お疲れ様。そして頑張ったね。
ウリュウ、おかえり、エンジェ。
Welcome back, huh? Then I should respond like this. Glad to be home. And with that, again, short episode. That's where we're going to end it here for today, because I still want to get around to recording an episode of Mihoyo today. And those chapters are quite a bit longer than Umineko chapters, so keeping the pace of the flow is a lot harder with that one. If you're looking at the videos coming up and in the past, and you're like, man, why does Mihoyo get these fucking 2.5 hour episodes when Umineko only gets 1 to 1.5? I'm not playing favorites. It's just the flow. I don't want to get stuck in the middle of a chapter and then like cut it off and leave it on a giant cliffhanger. But when it's a clean break, no one to fold them, that's when we're stopping. Once again, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring the notification bell. See you all next time for the next episode of Umineko. Catch you guys all then. Later. Bye. Mwah.